Welcome, colleagues. Securing long-term implant survival demands a precise balance of clinical variables. Success rests entirely on what we call the three-pillar protocol. Strategically selecting timing protocols, utilizing advanced biomaterials designed explicitly for bone preservation, and executing rigorous complication management. A failure in any single pillar inherently compromises your entire long-term outcome. Let us begin by analyzing the first pillar, evaluating the baseline data for immediate placement. Large-scale analyses demonstrate that immediate placement provides exceptional baseline survival. The primary protocol yields an outstanding 98.4% mean survival rate, while alternative variations maintain a robust 96%. However, despite this exceptional reliability, routine application in posterior molar regions currently lacks the necessary documentation for a standard clinical recommendation. Even in anterior cases, these high survival rates are continually challenged by significant aesthetic risks. Aesthetic compromise represents the primary threat in immediate placement. The most frequently encountered complication is midfacial recession exceeding 1 mm, which fundamentally alters the final aesthetic outcome. Because immediate protocols exhibit significantly higher aesthetic variability than early placement, strict patient and site inclusion criteria are absolutely mandatory to prevent severe soft tissue compromise. When executing these demanding protocols, how do we best secure the marginal contour? The solution requires advanced biomaterials. Traditional autogenous bone remains highly susceptible to natural post-extraction resorption. In contrast, utilizing deproteinized bovine bone mineral delivers mathematically superior volume preservation. This specific biomaterial restricts orofacial resorption 2.5 times more effectively than autogenous bone, while simultaneously replacing it to significantly reduce overall surgical morbidity. While immediate placement poses aesthetic variability, early placement offers a highly predictable, surgical alternative. Early placement replaces immediate clinical risk with a deliberate healing phase. This allows for an open flap surgical approach, ensuring maximum visibility and access for simultaneous guided bone regeneration, GBR, specifically fortifying the vulnerable facial bone wall. Consequently, the combined overall implant survival for this highly stable contour strategy remains exceptionally strong at 95%. But does this simultaneous contour augmentation remain stable over the long term? Let's review the 10-year data. Prospective tracking proves the absolute resilience of early placement combined with contour augmentation. At the 10-year mark, advanced imaging verifies a fully intact facial bone wall in 95% of long-term cases. Furthermore, the facial bone wall thickness is consistently preserved at a mean of 1.7 mm, confirming exceptional long-term stability. Early placement masters contouring, but addressing severe horizontal deficiencies necessitates a much more aggressive approach. Complex horizontal defects require robust staging, relying heavily on autogenous block grafts. The volumetric success is profound, an impressive 98.6% survival for mandibular harvest sites, driving an overall clinical success rate of 98.1%. The strategic trade-off, however, is that this high volumetric success is counterbalanced by significant donor site morbidity. Furthermore, these highly successful block grafts remain completely vulnerable without mandatory protective shielding. Barrier membranes are a mandatory clinical imperative. Unprotected block grafts suffer severe resorption rates, ranging between 18% and 60%. Applying barrier protection restricts that long-term volume loss to an absolute minimal 7.7%. Moreover, combining non-resorbable membranes with specific biomaterials limits microscopic resorption to an astonishingly low 0.38 mm. Despite the efficacy of barrier membranes, guided bone regeneration procedures inherently carry soft tissue risks. Soft tissue complications are a persistent reality, affecting 17% of all guided bone regeneration cases overall. Staged regenerative procedures carry a heavily elevated risk, presenting a 22% incidence rate. Conversely, simultaneous placement reduces this risk footprint to 12%, nearly half the rate. Proactive soft tissue management must be integrated centrally into every surgical treatment plan. Failing to manage the soft tissue properly can trigger a catastrophic regenerative collapse. Exposure of a regenerative membrane over horizontal bone triggers an immediate collapse in regenerative potential. This specific complication results in a devastating 80% reduction in the total expected bone gain. Compared to intact sites, This fundamental loss severely compromises your final clinical architecture. Meticulous, tension-free soft tissue handling is your ultimate defense. Beyond impeccable soft tissue handling, absolute infection control is the universal prerequisite for avoiding failure. Current clinical evidence reveals biological neutrality. There is no direct correlation between specific biomaterials and increased complication rates. Instead, strict aseptic protocols successfully maintain postoperative infection rates at a highly controlled 1.3%. Surgical technique and the baseline biological environment dictate success, making absolute adherence to stringent infection control a universal prerequisite. To conclude, let us synthesize these clinical principles into definitive, actionable directives for your practice. In synthesis, immediate protocols require flawless case selection to mitigate recession. Early protocols offer the highest 10-year predictability, reliably maintaining 1.7 mm walls. Staged augmentations demand rigorous barrier shielding to prevent 60% volumetric resorption. My call to action: audit your immediate placement inclusion criteria and integrate standardized barrier protocols for all horizontal augmentations starting your next surgical week. Thank you for your time and your commitment to clinical excellence.